Hi, everybody, and welcome to Grade 5, Theme 2's second topic, multiplying with fractions. This is going to be a quick overview video of the first three essential tasks. This topic, it was traditionally in Blackboard Theme 2, Unit 5, and Theme 2, Unit 7, these first three essential tasks coming from Theme 2, Unit 5. So what we did here is we really took all those multiplication with fraction standards and put them all together. So we're going to dive in. We're just going to look at these first three essential tasks to get started. So let's start with essential task 33. Once again, these are all 5NFB3, which is really relating division to fractions. So what does that look like? What does that mean? Something to note for this essential task is that students can use those Post-it notes that they got in their backpacks and scissors that they got in their backpacks for this lesson. It definitely is going to allow students to see what they're doing and connect to it in a concrete way. So each of these different try it out problems are going to have two options. One option is going to be to use those Post-it notes, and one option is going to be to use some Cuisenaire rods that are in the slide, and we'll look at that in a second. So just like it started out in Blackboard in Unit 5, we're going to start by looking at using some Post-it notes to represent cookies. So if one cookie is one Post-it note, you have 4 cookies, how could you share that among 4 people? How many would each person get? Here we're really talking about fair shares. We're talking about, did each person get that same amount of cookie distributed to them? Really quickly, I meant to show you this while I was on the slide. I apologize. There is a CRA mat here. This CRA mat lives in Blackboard. You probably remember it when you were looking at Unit 5 before. So thinking about what this looks like in that concrete version and using those Post-it notes, we can really make this concrete. There's also a teacher video here in that CRA mat, and I linked it as well in these notes, how you could model division using those Post-it notes. So it starts off pretty simple. Hopefully students understand that, for example, if I had 4 cookies and 4 people, each person would get 1 cookie. Our other option, like I said, is to use Cuisenaire rods. So if, in this case, purple is 1 cookie, and then you'll notice in the slide here, I told them the value of the other Cuisenaire rods, or you can take some time to have them explore. These all move. So I could do, if my purple is 1 whole, I could build and see how many of these whites I would need to make. So I would see that each white is 1/4, which you'll also see in this slide. So those are the 2 options. Then you're going to share and make those connections and talk about these big ideas. So what's that divisor, dividend, quotient of their problem? Was our sharing fair? How do we know? How do we know that each friend got the same amount of cookies? Then we're going to be moving on, and we're going to see that this isn't as straightforward. So if I have 5 cookies among 4 people, I know that each person's going to get 1 cookie, but then what am I going to do with that 1 leftover cookie? I'm going to have to cut it, right? That's what we would do in real life if we were sharing and partitioning those cookies equally. So 2 options, you could do those Post-it notes, or you could do the Cuisenaire rods. Either way would work. These boxes down here, you can just double click to type. But once again, we're asking those questions. What's our dividend? What's our divisor? What's our quotient? Was it equal sharing? And we're going to connect that division equation to the fraction. So hopefully students will start to see that there is a pattern or there is a rule as they're working through these, and they're going to be able to make that generalization or that pattern or rule themselves. Don't just tell it to them. They're going to have a few essential tasks to discover it. So it kind of keeps going. You'll see there's a lot of different ones here. Don't feel rushed. Don't feel like you have to do all of this in one day. You can take, in a scope and sequence, 2 to 3 days. So really take your time. This is that conceptual understanding that students need for this standard. The listen and learn, depending on what strategies your students used, you might want to do a Post-it note visual. You might want to do the Cuisenaire rod visual, whatever works. There's also a sample Jamboard of an anchor chart that you could make. This Understanding Fractions as Division is a must-complete video. This video is awesome. It does stuff that we can't do virtually, and they physically can break this cookie bar or candy bar. They can break it into pieces and move from the whole, which is awesome. So that's Essential Task 33. Essential Task 34 just kind of picks up where they left off. There's one difference here. We have the introduction of the Fraction Math app. The Fraction Math app is a great app. Unfortunately, though, like the other apps we've explored this year, it doesn't have the same sharing capabilities. So the problems won't already be written in there, and students aren't going to be able to as easily share it back with you. There is a teacher video here. I highly encourage you to watch this teacher video and kind of practice with students what they're going to have to do if you choose to use this Fraction Math app. You don't have to choose to use it, but a lot of kiddos are finding success using it. So I highly encourage you taking some time and deciding if that's a good fit for your kids. You'll notice in these, there are a few different options. The difference here is the whole is not defined for students. So they need to figure out, do I need my purple rod to be my whole? In other words, am I doing fourths or halves? Or do I need my green rod to be my whole? Am I doing thirds? So they can pick their whole, what will represent their whole. I know I'm going to have 3 friends sharing 2 granola bars. So I know that I'm going to do thirds. It might take your kiddos a little bit longer or a little bit more thought process behind that. But there's also these people here that they can drag over so they can continue to model it. The other option, once again, is they can use Post-it notes to continue to do this model. On these lessons, we have that division equation here. So if I have 3 friends, they're going to share 2 granola bars. I know that I have 2 granola bars divided by my 3 friends. And I'm going to know that once I distribute out my thirds, I know that each friend is going to end up with 2 thirds. So there's just a couple problems like that. Continue to practice. You'll notice there's Cuisenaire rods from the Math Playground linked. The problem is not in here. However, this is something that they could use to help show their thinking. They would just need to take a screenshot of their work and post it into the slide. You're not going to be able to see what they're doing here. You might want to take off, I would encourage them to take off the numbers because that's going to mess them up as we're looking at fractions. There's also the math app will be continued to link. Once again, the problem's not already there because that's not a shareable math app. And then they can build with the drag and drop to show their different batches of cookies. Once again, another anchor chart here that you could use, or your listen and learn. They're really talking about how they can interpret fractions as division or division as fractions, and some practice pages. All right, Essential Task 35 is our very last essential task for this standard. You'll notice that this first try it out looks very similar, same strategies to what they've been doing. In this share and make a connection, they're going to make that connection between the strategies that they're choosing and the number line. So for slide 5, they're going to have that option here that they could use that number line math app to help show their thinking if they're ready for that. If that's not a strategy that they're leaning towards or using, don't stress. The problem is this is a shareable one once again, so the problem is in there. And the share and connection down here is built for them, so they can at least, if they're not choosing to use the number line, I highly encourage you to keep the number line here for the share and make a connection so they can at least connect the strategies that they're choosing to do to that open number line. And that will continue to add to their resource bank of strategies that they could do for this standard. So that is the first 3 essential tasks in this second topic in a nutshell. Please let us know if you have any questions, and thanks for all that you do.